Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the CNFT.Tools Discord server. My name is ToolSin, and I am joined by the team from Arcus Ferrago, who are a mint that's coming up fairly soon, who's going to tell us all about themselves. Would you like to say hello and introduce yourselves?
Yeah, thanks, Torsten. Thanks for the space. Really appreciate this. I'm Hedram, live in South Africa, artist and creator of the Arcus Ferrago project, and just excited to be here.
And my name is Josh. I work alongside Hedram. Not nearly on much of a talented basis, but I help with the project collaborations, help with management of the Discord, basically creation, direction, things like that. Once again, also thanks for having us.
Yeah, and it's good to have you both. Let's hear like the 30-second, like minute-long pitch about what Arcus Ferrago is all about.
Okay. Arcus Ferrago is effectively an art-centric project. Started out very much art-based, and there is an amazing team involved as well, and with incorporating the team, it's really branched out into a lot more than it was going to be just it was just going to be an art project with one drop of art. But there's just so much scope, and I know it's a bearish market at the moment, but this is just such a nice space to build in, and there's so much scope for cross-pollination into other projects and meeting up with people and having these sort of spaces. And so it's given a nice scope to be able to incorporate PFP art. There's some digital art that's happening. There's music that's coming into it. There's planets which we'll be building. So there's a whole spectrum of things that are going on, which has made it really exciting, actually.
Yeah, sounds very good. I'm looking forward to getting to hearing more about all of that. So your mint is coming up. I'm sure you're going to raise some eyebrows when you tell us how many they are, and more importantly, how much they are.
Right. So on the 18th of September, we're having a free mint. Obviously, just send to Ada and you get your dust back, and it's as I say, it's a free mint. What we're doing for the free mint is a comic style art drop, which is it's forked off. It's become part of the law, and we found that the comic style art is very much an effective way of depicting the law and putting the story across. And there is quite an interesting law that we've started to already develop with the project. That's Sunday the 18th, free mint. Need to just be in the Discord. You can register whitelist, get a whitelist registration done for the free mint. They're limited. It was, Josh, if I'm not mistaken, 500.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. 500 free mint. Just a sort of a way to give back to the community, and just get some people to see some of the talent that Headroom has. A lot. We've been seeing a lot of these free mints lately, and it's just a great way to give without anything, any expectations, anything in return. And so one of the things with Arcus is, it does have a sci-fi type feel to it. As Hedram was saying, it does cover planets and stories taking place in the future. A real community-based project as well. And so I think one of the good stories that might give a little idea of what the project is about is how Hedram came up with the idea for Arcus. Would you mind sharing that, Hedram?
Yeah. So actually, are we going back? Are we going back to 8 years old?
No, I at this point I absolutely insist that we do.
Okay. I always had an affinity. I always loved doing art. I was always, as a young child, just creating pieces and Always enjoyed doing it, and my parents took a liking to this, and for my 8th birthday, I don't know if it was my birthday, but sometime while I was 8, they bought me an airbrush and a compressor. And the first thing I did with this airbrush and compressor was go and create an entire planetary system on my bedroom wall.
Nice.
Created these 3D planets and stars and rings and nebula, and it was a whole thing that I'd done on my wall. And here we are many years later, creating digital 3D planets in the NFT space.
So, I mean, there's a lot of directions we can go to this. I mean, sort of like, have you always had an affinity with creating intergalactic worlds and things like that?
I've always had an affinity with the universe. I've always had for me, it's just I love the diversity, just the space, the stillness. That's the affinity for me. I've always been a stargazer, so it's something that's always attracted me. I love the beauty of and the vastness of the universe. So yeah, it is something that I really have a passion for.
So, is there anything in the art that would especially appeal to someone similar to yourself? I mean, I've always been a science fiction guy, and Star Trek, not Star Wars for the most part. I'm sure I'm probably just kicked off a huge argument in some house somewhere, but I like Star Wars, but I love Star Trek. It's one of those things. But yeah, I mean, like, what you said it was going to be like a PFP style mint.
Yes.
So how does that like cross in with the intergalactic theme and like scientific spatial theme?
I'll give you a little bit of the lore. The idea is in some distant, maybe parallel, maybe meta universe somewhere else, are these guys. They call them sailors, spelled Saelers, and these guys have discovered a planetary nursery in a distant corner of the universe. This particular planetary nursery, the planets that have formed and the gases that coalesce to form these planets have been made up with a very mysterious mineral. The mineral is called Salem, Saelem, and it's an acronym for subatomic electromagnetic light-emitting matter. This mineral has been found to have sometimes very incredible effects on people that come in contact with it. It has effects in the way that it changes your consciousness, and it almost enhances the consciousness. If there is an element of greed, the Salem will enhance the greed. So what's happened is the sailors have traversed across into these distant areas of the universe to mine the Salem. And this all kind of plugs into tokenomics, and we're looking at that whole part of the project because that's such a fun thing to do in the NFT space as well. So the sailors will be miners. There will be different planets. The planets will be part of one mint. You could be able to get certain amount of yield out of the planets. And at the same time, the Salem has a very unique look and feel about it, and has many properties, and so it's also a lovely way to express the art, because you can the moment creating digital animations of the Salem contained in spheres, Salem contained in cubes, Salem blooming off planet surfaces. So yeah, it's a fun medium to play with as well.
So yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like, obviously I've thrown an eye over the project a couple of times in the lead up to this. I'm still kind of somehow being surprised at the amount of work that you're putting in and the amount of things that you've got lined up for everybody, especially considering the fact that it's a free mint. Obviously, there has been a bunch of free mints recently, and for the most part, most of them, with a couple of notable exceptions, have been lower. I don't want to say lower effort, but they have been lower effort. Um, as you guys, have a whole roadmap fleshed out. So, I mean, how far ahead in the future does your roadmap stretch right now? Like
Right.
internally as much as externally, because obviously your external roadmap is fairly short right now.
Yes. So externally, it's fairly short. We like to keep it like that, not over promising. But internally, there's just so much we can do. And one of the things, another aspect to what we want to do is introduce music into it. I've spent my entire adult life playing music professionally. I played the circuits around South Africa. There's a lot of theater type circuits in our area. So I've been playing theaters, and so music's something that's kind of been in my blood since I was a kid as well. So we certainly want to incorporate music into this. And yeah, there's going to be a number of drops. In terms of the free mint is a part of the law. It's going to be a comic drop, which is leading up to our Genesis drop. The Genesis drop happens early October. I believe it's the 1st of October. And the Genesis token, in effect, is a VIP membership to the entire Arcus, to the future Arcus Ferrago ecosphere, basically. The Genesis token will have whitelist spots for all future mints, minting discounts. You get a specific role as a Genesis holder, gives you access to secret rooms, exclusive giveaways. And then when the tokenomics start to kick in, you get Salem rewards. So yeah, it's a very long roadmap internally.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you've got some bits up your sleeve. I mean, obviously we're going to delve into the couple of times you've mentioned tokenomics and everything later on, I'm sure. And it also does seem like there's not a huge amount of time between the drop of this sort of like initial PFP drop and then the stuff that you've got coming after, sorry, which is pretty nice. Um, what type of what type of numbers and price are we looking at for the drop on the sort of like at the start of October?
Yeah, with the Genesis drop, we're looking at 1,000 assets at 100 ADA a piece. And yeah, as I said, that's your kind of your VIP membership. With the artwork for the Genesis token is going to be 3D animation of Salem in many different forms. So that's really the idea with the Genesis token. Yeah.
Okay. So, how fast do you expect things to move past that point? Because obviously, you'd have gone from the free mint to the Genesis mint within about 3 weeks. Have you
Correct.
got everything lined up to go bang, 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 or is there going to be a bit more of a wait between events in the Arcus Ferrago universe?
So we're going to be focusing on, there will be, once the Genesis token happens, Genesis holders will receive the second part of the comic lore as an airdrop. And that will also be that'll be a free airdrop. So the second part of the comic lore happens there. Then what we start to do is we start to line up the rest of the mints. There'll be planets, there'll be the sailors, which is sailors are very much 3D PFP type characters, built in 3D software. And in the interim and between these drops, we're going to be doing a lot of airdrops and special giveaways and special little things that happen in between the actual mints. Yeah, just to keep it interesting and keep it kind of rolling, you know?
Yeah, for sure. So obviously, we've mentioned, or we're circling around tokenomics and things like that, but are you going down the producing a game route, or is the token which we will eventually talk about more based on staking, or how is all that side of it going to work?
I don't think a game is an impossibility. It's something we haven't really discussed at this point. It's something that wasn't really on the cards, but at the same time, one of the things that I'm kind of taking on personally is learning Unreal Engine and learning the different software platforms that can certainly open up to developing something like that. So it's not entirely off the cards, but not really something we've discussed at this point.
Fair enough.
And ToolSin, one of the things that we at Arcus Ferrago are concentrating on is community building. Our main priorities are community building and art. So everything that we're doing early on has those goals in mind. So we come from a background. We all met at the Gingerbread Squad, one of the OG projects on Cardano, and we've got this foundation of trying to build a strong community, a community that can leverage a community to benefit all of its members. So the things that we are going to be concentrating on are continuing to do that. So when in terms of drops and future things like games and things like that, those are all things that we certainly have on our radar. But mainly, we want to just give great art. We met Headroom, through the Gingerbread Squad, and just to see him grow and to see him, share his art. Like he had not, if I'm not mistaken, hadn't really dabbled too much in the digital art because he was a real world artist and a real world musician. And so to see how far he's come along has been super exciting. And so, those are the things that we want to hone in on and focus on, is giving great art to people, trying to have a little fun with a little bit of the story. The free mint coming up, for example, on Sunday, is just a glimpse into the Arcus world and into the lore, to kind of create something a little fun, give the early members a chance to get whitelist for the Genesis token. Try to create some real world utility in terms of art. One of Headroom's major goals is to try to give real world art to its members, and that's why we kind of focus on a smaller drop and starting smaller. For example, with the comic, our goal is to basically periodically airdrop some pieces of this comic, maybe sell a little bit, maybe give some to our Genesis holders. But then the goal would be to kind of create your own comic with each piece of the puzzle, each panel of a comic strip. And so, a couple months down the road, sometime in 2023, when we've released several pages of a comic, our members can put together those pieces, create a story, grow the lore, and then if they do collect all the pieces, to be able to turn that in for an in real life comic strip or comic book.
Sweet.
So those are things we're thinking about.
Yeah. So I mean, the problem about talking to a project like you is that, I ask you a question, you give them a reply, and that reply triggers 5 more questions, and then I have to pick one.
Right? And that's our hardest challenge, is trying to stay focused and not get too scattered. We have all these aspirations.
So, is there much opportunity for the community to have a say or direction or nudge in the shape of the law?
Headroom, why don't you take that one? Because that's a big yes.
Yeah, absolutely. This is something that we're very passionate about in the project. We want not only to allow the community to be part of the direction of the law, but also to be a part of the project in terms of artistically, when we go into music. This is something that's a big drive. I know for me, just within the Discord, there's a share your art channel, and one of our members, Anubis, reached out, and he does these incredible paintings, these acrylic paintings, and real life paintings, and then he takes images of them. And when I saw these, I immediately approached him and said, why don't you bring these in and we'll wrap planets using this texture that you're creating? Because they just really look like these alien planet surfaces. And so he's become a part of the project in that sense. And when we mint planets, he will reap a percentage of the mint for the artwork that he's putting in. Yeah. So this is something we really want to do. We want to create a project that becomes very much about the community being part of the art, part of the music, part of the written word, part of the law.
Yeah, I mean that sounds amazing. That you're able to find a member of the community who's. I mean, it's amazing to find anyone with those skills, let alone like a member of your community that's willing to share and work with you, and then obviously have their own guiding hand in the creation of the project. Um, but staying more on the art subject right now. Obviously, you've got the free mint lined up, and you've got your Genesis project lined up. Like, how much time has it taken you to create all the art for these?
It's taken a fair amount of time. Initially, I had a few hundred, and then evolved into a few thousand pieces of digital art that I'd worked on. And this was in late 21. And this was when I reached out to the Gingerbread Squad, because I was alone, and I had no team, I had no backup, I had no one that I could turn to. In fact, the whole back end of the NFT world was highly elusive and very scary to me. So
yeah, especially then, to be honest, it's easier now, but it's easy for people not to realise quite how difficult it is, or it was just even like a year ago to find a minting partner.
Absolutely.
Like, because they just weren't out there like they are now.
Absolutely. And that's kind of how I reached out. In fact, I was part of the initial gingerbread mint that happened in September 21.
Nice.
And the rug pull that happened. And that's kind of how I was in there. I was in the Discord watching this all unfold, and I saw the community jump in, and I saw the guys that jumped in and started to steer this thing and say, "Hey, we can do this. We've got the assets. We can rebuild this." And I reached out to those guys, and it was it was one of the best things I did. It was great. Just got it's been one great thing to the next from them.
Yeah, I mean, I was around when Gingerbread Squad minted, and then the news broke. Was it not too long after that that they were exiting the space? And yeah, I mean, sort of like my first initial reaction was, the one they'd expect of, well, that's a bummer for everybody involved. And didn't expect to hear about it again. And then, obviously, or close to a year later, we're still talking about it, and the friendships and the teams that have formed in that fire, as it were. So it's even out of terrible situations come stronger, even stronger friendships and ways to support each other.
Yeah, it's been great. I must go ahead, Josh.
No, I say absolutely, and speaking of which, we're coming up on a year anniversary from that, and I think that's the strength that of the space and of finding the right team. And we were me being a part of the Gingerbread Squad originally when I met Hedram, like we were so lucky to have such a talented artist to be able to join the team, but things just kept growing. And like you were saying back then, like the wild west, man, everything was pretty chaotic. You couldn't keep up with the chat because it was just like thousands of people just screaming and yelling and hollering. And,
Yeah.
not like it is today, my friend. The bear market, as depressing as the prices have been, it has been quite the eye opener, and quite the noise reducer to be able to now like focus on building. And so while certainly we all wish prices were a little higher, I think right now it's been a blessing. It's been so much easier to focus, so much easier to build. And so when the next bull run comes, the projects that have put in the work, like Arcus, like Gingerbread Squad, they'll be ready to ride the next wave. So it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with you to a certain extent. I will say I think there's much more of a community lying out there than is sometimes realised. So when you look at some of the more successful mints recently, and obviously the ever successful cornucopias and everything like that, but that there is definite interest in the space, and people are willing to plonk their ADA down on the right mint. It just doesn't always seem to make sense which mint people are going for sometimes, if that makes sense.
Yes, it always
You know,
is. You
they'll,
can see.
there'll be the big mint one day alongside the little mint. You expect everyone to go for the little mint, sorry, the big mint, and everyone goes for the little mint. It's like, oh, okay.
Right, that's fun.
I mean, I'm often asking projects at some point throughout the AMAs of what happens if you only sell 30% of your supply or 50% of your supply. Have you got any plans around that, and will it affect the future of the project? I think it's fairly safe to say that with a free mint, you're quite likely to sell out.
Yeah, I think we obviously you'd love to sell at a small amount, but we also intend to have utility with it, and so that's why we did pick a smaller amount of a free mint, so that way we can eventually make 500 copies of 500 different comic books that people have created, and so you always hope you sell out, but I think with the team that we have, the network of people that we have behind the project, these are people who've been around since early 2021. So and especially coming from the Gingerbread Squad, we know how to put in work. We know how to ride the times when they don't seem so great, and so that just makes us have no fear coming up to whatever happens with Arcus. 1 minute, 100 minutes, 1,000 minutes. We're just always going to keep building. Especially when you got someone like Headroom to rally around, it's going to be makes it easy on me.
Yeah, for sure. So we've danced around it a couple of times, but tokenomics. So obviously you're going to have your own token at some stage. Are you able to release any details about any possible ways to generate the token, or for any possible uses for the token?
I think the idea initially was because of the Salem and because of the way the law unfolded, um, it kind of made sense to be able to say, well, we've got these planets. There'll be a drop of planets or a mint of planets, and the planet art is very much 3D based, creating them in Blender. And in fact, I've got a whole spectrum of images that I took. At one point, I got obsessed with bubbles, and I was actually photographing bubbles. And there's a very specific technique to actually you need the right macro lens, and there's a very kind of it's a very delicate balance, and you got to kind of blow the bubble in the exact right environment with the right light, and you can get some incredible colors, and the spectrum that comes off these bubbles is beautiful. And I had these and using these to develop planets, because it just really works well as a planet skin. The planet then, obviously, with them minted, you would have rarity within the planets, and then would come the PFP characters, the sailors, and these characters would also have rarity. And plugging the two together, you can really start to play a lot with your Salem being your tokenomic, and being able to yield a certain amount. You could even potentially rent your planet out to other sailors, people who potentially don't have a planet, and you could also get passive yield from those planets. So it's very much kind of, there's a lot of speculation in how we can structure it, but that's the dream, really, is to create that. And then there's, in the NFT space right now, in the Cardano NFT space right now, there's so much going on with the tokenomics and with the dirt birds and with the clays and with the, that it's just a great space to actually be able to bring that in and play in that space, because with the raffles and everything that's going on, it's making it fun, it's making it exciting.
No, absolutely. You've mentioned a couple of times about the 3D models and everything like that. Probably going to get asked this many, many times, I know. But does that mean that they're going to be metaverse compatible in some way?
I know Phenom's listening, and I know he's gonna hate me for saying, but we are, yes. I would imagine that it can create that space, and it can play. We can certainly play in that space. Um, I think I think the word metaverse is a little bit vast at this point, because people haven't really grabbed onto what exactly is it. But in a space that one can develop one's own little world or own little space or own little digital something or virtual something, yes, I would definitely want to play in that space.
Yeah. And ToolSin, when we talk about things like metaverse and things that haven't even really come to fruition just yet, we try not to focus on things that we can't deal with right now. And
Yeah,
so once again, the things that we can deal with are community building and providing great art. I mean, a lot of us in the project, one of our favorite projects out there is Block Owls. That's just great art, really great 3D imaging, a lot of fun. Like I would love to have a block owl on a holographic pedestal in my room, just displayed. And so like that's the kind of vibe that we're trying to go for. Is just giving great art and building a great community. And then when things come and when the space changes, we'll have that foundation of a great community to take those chances and to go after those things that we can't even fathom right now.
yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, on the topic of community building, what kind of like events and bonding moments do you have with the community coming up over sort of like the next few weeks with all the different mints and everything approaching?
Josh, you take that one.
Absolutely. That's a great question. As considering we haven't even released our very first mint, a lot of the focus is on just being a name out there, providing good art. Headroom is probably the busiest man in the space, and I don't have any doubt in that. He works with the Gingerbread Squad. He has his own project. He's doing the 3D mint for the upcoming Stone Age Hooligans 3D,
Yeah.
another OG project. He's super busy. So I doubt Headman will be a part of any any community events. We try to keep him a little locked up here so we can get to work. He pops out every time, every now and again.
Yeah, just
But
crack the whip once a week and put some bread and water underneath the door. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. And at the same time, we're not trying to make our Discord a grind Discord. I don't know about you, but I feel like there's been a very big burnout in Discord and in NFTs. And so we don't want anyone to feel like they have to do anything besides enjoy the art. If they want to go down the rabbit hole and they want to be a part of the lore and they want to follow the story and they want to maximize their Salem by getting the right planets and the right sailors, we can gamify that in a sense and make it fun and make it a good experience. And always have people going on in the Discord and chatting and making friends and building communities in that way. But at the end of the day, if you just want to appreciate great art, then we're the project for you. You can come mint a couple pieces and have that and be a part of, in my opinion, one of the best artists in the space. And I think he'll continue to be one of the best artists in the space.
Yeah, what kind of sort of like regular activities do you have going on in Discord to keep people bonding and everything like that? Do you have like Gartic games or poker tournaments or Smash Carts tournaments and other bits and pieces?
So I mean, so being that a lot of us are, the team was built from other projects. We have a tight knit group with Gingerbread, with Stone Age, with a lot of other projects who have been around. So we always try to throw Arcus in the mix with whether it be a poker tournament, whether it be just being active. We don't have a per se a big push for those things at this moment. We're just trying to get people to see the art, and once they pop in, that's when we try to get them to dive a little deeper. We try to keep the Discord sort of a rabbit hole of such. If they want to dive in and appreciate some art, they can go this way. If they want to go into lore, they can go that way. And so, we kind of just tailor it to that. We also listen a lot to the community, and see where the vibe is there. If there's people who want to do some sort of activities and want to be a part of, have some fun in any which way, we're always listening and trying to adapt to those things.
So have you been able to, or sort do you have any plans to work with any other projects on a collab basis, or any sort of like official partnerships coming up, or anything that you probably can't announce anyway, but I'm going to ask?
Nothing really planned at this point. But absolutely would love to get involved. There's certainly some very talented artists in the space. There's some very talented hand-drawn 3D artists. There's we were just talking yesterday about Overexposed, and I think Ren Ellis is a very talented individual, and he's also musically based. And I think I've DM'd him, and we've had a small chat at some point, but we haven't really touched base properly. But I think it would be an amazing thing to form some sort of musical collaboration at some point. That's really I just love to see all these sort of things come together. And because the space is still small, it's really, we're quite privileged to be able to reach out to the creators of these projects, and these people respond, unsigned algorithms, dirtbirds. I mean, you can literally send a DM to the creators and they respond, and it's quite a privilege at this point to be able to even have that interaction. And I think that people in these early projects will get to know each other, and I think that eventually there's going to be a lot more collaboration than we even expect.
I think there's a lot of projects out there who are kind of waiting and seeing what we have to show, and waiting to see if they want to jump on board.
Yeah, I mean that's quite a natural response in a lot of cases, because just even working with a project that turns out to be a rug pull later on is a risk that many projects aren't willing to take. But when a project is released, and that their artwork has stood up to the public eye, then people are a lot more willing to work with you, I find.
Absolutely, you say that that's not a risk that some projects willing to take, and nor should they. They've got community members which they should protect, and we feel the same way. We try to grow completely organically, literally word of mouth for the most part. We don't hire collab managers or those people who pop into your DMs and saying, "I'll work for $5 a collab." We don't buy likes and things on our Twitter. Everything is all organic, and so and we try to protect our members. So we're not trying to do any collabs with someone who hasn't proved anything, and so we don't expect a lot of people to want to do a lot of collabs with us who haven't done much. We just hope that they see the team behind the project, where we come from, where our roots are, and see that we're here to build something special.
So one thing I haven't really talked about as much as I've often done at this point is how big is your team now?
I would say, I'm just sorry, I'm doing the calculations in my head. I would say the core team is 5 of us, and then we've got, I would say, maybe 6, 7, 8 mods in the Discord. But effectively, the core team is 5 of us.
Yeah, he basically picked the worst members from the Gingerbread Squad and said, "Let's."
Oh dear. So, are the other members of the team sort of like more on the techie side, and the sort of like being able to provide the mint and any technical innovation and website innovation that you need for the project?
So no, that's all part of the Gingerbread Squad, and I mean Gingerbread Squad has evolved into a turnkey NFT solution. I mean, it's just anything NFT, you can get it done at Gingerbread Squad. minting partners, management, marketing, all of that kind of thing happens in the Gingerbread Squad. So we've got that element. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so that's another reason why being around for a while and building off of a solid team is so beneficial. There's a 35-person team over at Gingerbread Squad that's grown over the past year. So they've been able to build their own IT system, like you said, and Headroom's been a pivotal part of that. So everybody there, super gracious for Headroom's artwork and appreciation, jumping on board. So he's got a whole team of people that are glad to help him out in any which way. And so a lot of that does include the back end things, front end things, and I mean even Headroom does a little bit of website development. I'm pretty sure he's developed the whole website on his own. I don't know what this guy can't do.
Yeah, sorry, that's kind of no offense, but this is in a very good way. That surprised me because the website looks smooth. Like
Oh, thank you.
I've been, I've had it up for the YouTube video, and I really, I do really appreciate the clean artistic look behind it, to be honest. And
Lovely, thank you.
the choice of image on the banner is awesome. I love it.
Thank you.
I mean, I'd quite happily just mint that myself, actually. I would need the version of the figure with the guitar though. Just saying.
Yeah. So to answer your question, the team that we have, the core team that we actually have, is more of a creative team, and I'm very grateful for that because these guys are taking a lot of the creative side off my hands, which is lovely. These guys are talking about things that I most of the time don't even really understand, and structuring things moving forward, which is lovely, and I appreciate that. I'm very grateful for the team.
Yeah, I mean, not everyone can be good at everything, though you do seem to be doing a better job than most. It has to be said.
Thank you.
So, how many different traits are going to be involved in the free mint coming up?
There's going to be a good question, ToolSin, because what's happening at the moment is we're finalizing artwork in the next day or two. So I can't actually give you an answer to that question right now.
Okay, so
And ToolSin, just to give you when you ask Headroom about traits, go look at the Gingerbread Holidays collection. That has the most traits of any single CNF, probably any NFT project that I've ever seen. He's got hundreds of traits. So when you try to ask Headroom how many traits you're gonna have, I don't think he can even answer. We spend most of the time telling him to please stop making so many traits because we eventually have to vote on them and give feedback and which ones are going to be where. And so I hope there's only 3 traits. I don't want any more work.
Oh dear. So yeah, I mean, I can't find a quick thing to look at there, but yeah, I mean, obviously with a smaller initial drop anyway, you don't need quite as many as would often be the case for a 5K drop or a 10K drop, for instance.
No, absolutely not. And we planned, there's traits is going to be kind of rarity is what we kind of have planned with the comic with the free mint. Different rarities, that will have different details. Obviously, the higher rarities might have a little more details, but it's also going to be it's going to be story based. You're going to be able to kind of customize your comic, and so rarity. While that will play, it'll kind of be how do you want the story to evolve? How do you want the story to grow? Do you want it to follow this type of character? Do you want to build your own where there's this type of feel with the comic? So it's going to be very customizable. It's going to be very driven by the community and how they want to do it, and we'll get to see what people which storylines that they like by which ones that they try to mint or which ones that sell on the secondary. And so we'll be very in tune with the community to kind of let them take the lead and then us follow.
So, how many different trait categories are the sailors going to have?
So yeah, that's where I would say the traits would certainly kick into play a lot more is with the sailors and with the planets. Um, with the planets, the idea is we're going to have obviously planets can have moons, moons can have um, different skins to them as well. The planets we've got the Anubis planets, which is going to be wrapped in the acrylic paints by the community member. There'll be different suns. There'll be spacecrafts as well, which we'll be introducing at some point. So the planets alone will be very much trait based, as well as the sailors. Sailors traits can get quite interesting because we can really bring a lot of metadata into the sailors traits, and with that we can have elements like greed, consciousness, um, just different levels of even mental health, for example. These can become traits within the metadata based on how much interaction these sailors have had with Salem. So
Ah,
there's a lot of fun things we can do in terms of the traits with the sailors and the planets.
so
And as Josh was saying, sorry, as Josh was saying earlier, the planets is very much the kind of art that we want to create with the planets is something that can be, if there is a little holographic display or something, it's something that you'd want to kind of put up there. So that's the kind of the idea with the planets.
no, I mean absolutely. So, does that mean that the metadata is going to update over time? So it can, you might have, a trait at level one, at mint, and then after messing around and doing lots of different activities and interacting with the Salem, they might have level three, a couple of months later or something.
Right, absolutely. So the metadata certainly can evolve, and this is something we really want to play with because there's the factions within the Discord. Once the sailors mint, there will be a whole faction separation that will happen within the Discord um, because of the sailors will have one of the utilities, at least one of the traits that the Salem will have, the sailors will have. One of the traits the sailors will have is their suits have different absorption mechanisms. Some prefer to absorb Salem into their being, which changes their consciousness. Others prefer not to absorb and rather get fuller yield with the Salem. So that's something that will evolve the metadata in terms of the sailors and that can then start to affect the factions within the Discord.
Yeah, I mean,
we want to kind of we want to kind of create a lot of interactions with the assets, and sort of just giving more control and more power to the members to kind of decide how they do things. It just makes it more fun. And once again, these are things that are going to be fairly far down the road. We're not trying to rush anything out. By the time sailors and planets are fully minted, we're definitely looking in 2023. We're not trying to rush anything. Still focusing on community and then trying to do some airdrops and just have a little fun in the meantime.
yeah, I mean, I'm honestly, I'm just scrolling through some of the sneak peeks in the sneak peek channel on the Discord server, and I'm just getting blown away. It's kind of distracting trying to look at the art and talk about the art at the same time because I just want to look at more art all the time.
And
Um,
the great thing about that is, I mean, some of those images, if you look back at the early images from the sneak peek, I mean, these were months ago, and not like these are all early prototypes. Headrooms are evolves and changes so much, and he just takes direction for how things are going, how the community responds to things, his own creative genius. So I mean, I don't even every time he sends me a new update, I'm like, this looks completely different than what you showed before, and you've just made 5,000 new pieces of art. And so you're right. It's hard to keep up. It's hard to not get caught just checking out the art, and that's what we want. That's what we want people to do. Just enjoying the art is the primary utility at first, and then we'll grow from there.
So, question that just popped into my mind is, are you going to be or are you going to be making different resolutions and different versions of the NFTs available? Because I mean, I'm one of those people that on Facebook, my banner profile is a beautiful, planetscape with the moon rising and the sun rising and everything like that. Will there be opportunities, to use your NFTs as Twitter banners or Facebook profile banners and stuff like that to really show off the art in perhaps a way that isn't necessarily possible with PFPs all the time?
Yeah,
It will.
absolutely. That yeah, that's something that we certainly want to be focused on. I mean, with the Gingerbread Squad, we upgraded the artwork to 4K. So this is certainly something with the planets and all the PFP style art. It's going to be high resolution art, and yep, very much something like you say that you can use as a banner or I like that.
Yeah,
I
like
like art that
desktop background, like I've got
yeah
a beautiful one as a desktop background, but I've had it a
Yeah, I just
while, and some of the stuff that you guys have already produced in your sneak peeks, I'm like, yeah, I could deal with that on my desktop background for 6 months or a year or so.
yeah, it reminds me of what is it, Angel Baby Hit Squad. They just came out and they airdropped some what is it, almost like cell phone desktop images.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you got, and I thought that was super creative and something unique, and I love that. I love that in the space of the art, and so going towards things like that and pushing toward new limits and new mediums of sharing and displaying the art, absolutely.
So you mentioned before that the Gingerbread Squad had upgraded to shipping in 4K resolution. I've noticed the amount of time it's taken even my pretty decently fast internet connection to download the pictures. So can I assume that's the same for the Arcus Farrago images?
Oh no, no,
yes
contraire. No, no,
Oh,
no. Have
so we're
you checked?
talking 8K?
No. Well, have you checked out the gingerbread holidays recently?
I have to admit I'm spread very thin across a lot of projects right now. That's not one that
Fair
I've kept
enough.
up with so much.
Hey, no, fair enough. That's okay because what Gingerbread Squad has just done is they have just transitioned all of their art from IPFS to Arweave, and
Oh,
so now everything is much easier to view, so much quicker. I mean, obviously being a large holder in Gingerbread Squad, I couldn't even pull up my holidays collection on Pool PM because it was too many. And like you said, it's 4K art. It's not easy to view, but we have just transitioned everything over to Arweave, which does diminish the quality slightly when you're viewing it through there, but negligible to almost the human eye. I mean, there still will be the original 5K or 4K art, but I would presume that we will be transitioning all of it to be pinned on Arweave, which will make it way quicker to load. And you won't need to wait 20 minutes or have your phone crash when you want to just look at your art.
yeah. I mean, being able to be able to see what you love is definitely a plus in this game. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, what kind of sort of like how does a decision like that get taken to move from what is effectively a fairly standard behind on the CNFT blockchain to move over to something that's a little lesser known like Arweave?
I think that's just the community. The community wills it. That's the thing. With Gingerbread Squad, when there's 35 members from the community who have joined behind the scenes bakery, as we call it, it makes it easier to make decisions and to push for things. Obviously, we have great leadership. Phenom is one of the obviously was pretty much the one of the main people involved in helping rebake the Gingerbread Squad. His knowledge, Paramount's mine by a mile. He also has gotten coders. One our back end developer Thanatos, who is an amazing guy, amazing coder, and he's the one who's been helping us transition everything. So everything is kind of decided by the community. and that's really what pushes things, and just another reason to make sure that you have a strong community and that you put community first as your primary goal, building a strong community, because with them a lot of things can be done.
So, switching tack slightly, we talked a bunch about the art, but we've kind of skipped over the sound element of the project a little bit. I know that's something that's more slated a little bit for the future, but can you tell us a little bit about how you're looking to integrate future audio within the NFT and within the I don't know whether to call it the Ferrago verse or or what, but the project overall, let's say.
Yeah, so there are a few approaches in terms of the music. Certainly, one of the approaches it was something that's kind of been with me for some time. I kind of grew up in a with some hippie parents who were very much into meditation, and grew up in an ashram. Spent most of my childhood in an ashram, so it was
Sorry,
always
what's an ashram or ashram?
an ashram. Effectively is a place where like-minded people that are really kind of focused on mindfulness come together and share their experience, talk about meditation, talk about inner growth, talk about inner peace. So that was kind of very much part of my upbringing.
Yeah.
And as a result, it led me down different roads, and one of the roads I came across was what's called binaural beats. Binaural beats is, in effect, as you know, a frequency has a certain wavelength. And if you put one frequency in one ear and a slightly different frequency in the other ear, with the variation of wavelength, it tricks your brain, and your brain basically cancels the two out. But what it's doing to your brain to cancel the two out has very positive effects on the body and on the mind and on sleep, on healing, on chronic pain issues, on cortisol reduction, on relaxation, creativity, focus, reducing stress, maintaining positive thinking, increasing learning capabilities, all of these positive things. And that all comes through binaural beats. Now, if you listen to a binaural beat on its own, it seems to be a little bit, I think, and initially when you put it on, you need to listen with headphones. It can feel a little bit, I wouldn't want to use the word irritating, but a little bit, it's a strange sensation.
Unsettling?
Say again?
Unsettling, perhaps?
A little bit unsettling, absolutely. But given time, a minute, 2 minutes, and whether or not, and Phenom kind of, because we were discussing it, and he said, I'm not sure if this is a placebo, but it certainly seems to be doing something, So and a lot of people have reported very positive. So, long story short, want to incorporate binaural beats into these NFTs, and not just raw binaural beats, because you can always layer music and some sort of soothing sound, or even some sort of deep atmospheric or deep bass sound over these binaural beats. So there's going to be sound bites in terms of minting NFTs images with sound bites. Then, on a completely different stem in musically, actual little loops of music. And obviously, playing music for so many years, I've got a whole collection of hundreds of little sound clips, little musical ideas, little loops, a little guitar riff, or a little thing, or a little little groove, or something that I've got hundreds of these things. So these things will start to be strung into NFTs as well, and these can then start to become collectible and even attach them to each other and start to create soundtracks for the project effectively.
I mean that the immediate comment that springs into my mind is like, so somebody will be able to DJ their own NFTs.
Yeah, absolutely,
And create their own, compilations and everything like that. Um,
absolutely. In the same way that we see layers, like you look at the dirt birds, for example, and it's a head. Then there's a different configuration of beaks, or a different configuration of hats, or different configuration of bow tie or glasses. Or I mean, we've all watched how these NFTs and how it works, and the layers. So why couldn't you do the same principle with music? And say you've got a cool hi-hat groove, or a really nice guitar riff, or a cool bass line, and why doesn't that bass line then get layered up with that guitar riff? And there's a whole space you can start to play around with layering music.
yeah, I mean that sounds completely awesome, especially if you're able to quote unquote bolt them together. And would there be so what do you how sorry how are you going to be treating copyright rights and sample rights and things like that for both the art and for the music that's going to be involved? Will holders have all the rights to create derivatives and everything like that, or is that something that you're going to be keeping hold of for yourself?
No, absolutely. I think that you own the NFT, you own the rights. I think that um, um, personally, I think that that's the beauty of NFT, and I think that when the music industry does start to make the transition into the space, that's going to be the calling card for some of the bigger artists in the world to say, well, instead of me being slung into a record label and maybe getting 10% of all record sales, I could now get 80% of record sales and give 20% to the fans, and they can become owners of these albums and these incredible projects that are happening right under your nose.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's some incredible incredible options for the future. I think there are some aspects that kind of need to be analysed and ironed out, probably in a court of law, especially when we're talking about people that are actually using the rights granted to them. So, for instance, let's say I bought half a dozen different different sound bites on the and then put them together and then sold it for a while and then sold the NFTs that gave me the right to make that in the first place. There's I think there are some issues that need to be worked out, but I think in general they're ones that will be overcome in the fullness of time, and a whole new wave of creativity can be unleashed.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I think it's going to be incredibly interesting to see what unfolds in the next 5-10 years in this space.
So I mean, like again, I mean, I keep looking at the art, and so many more questions come up about the art. Um, like it's kind of hard to get away from. So I've been seeing some of the sneak peeks again with the planet in the foreground and then the planet in the background. So you have the sort of like the rocky foreground and the planet in the background, and obviously it does appear that the light is very different depending on the type of reflection that's coming from the planet, and sort of like how easy was that to reproduce, and did it take like a lot of extra time in rendering or something to be able to produce that effect?
Yeah, it's quite with. I think that's the key is really bringing in your own skins, bringing in your own textures into these models in a 3D environment. You've It gives you the space and the scope to be able to play around with those reflections. So you're creating your own reflections off your model. Um, which it's not entirely difficult, but it's to get the light right, to get the reflection right, that it feels natural, that it feels real. That's kind of the tricky part, is to really get it to feeling authentic. And that's kind of that for me. The playing with the planets and the foregrounds and because what I tend to do as well is I'll take it a level further, um, and then take these images into Photoshop and then really kind of give them their final touches in Photoshop, So that kind of gives it just a little bit more of an authentic feel.
Yeah, I mean, it just keeps dragging my eyes back. Like it's quite astounding. I wish I could show you the one that I'm looking at now, but it's probably my favourite one. It was posted a while ago in Sneak Peeks again. But it's the one with the darker foreground and then the light blue planet in the background with the little black spot on it.
Yeah, I think I know which one you're
Posted
about.
back on the 27th of
Yeah.
April. So yeah, I mean that shows how long you've been working on the project.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Okay, I can see which one you're talking about. So yeah, that was one of the original skins. And that what you're seeing there is actually a photograph of a bubble. That
Oh,
black spot. If you zoom in on that and you look at the texture and the feedback that I was getting, that's actually a photograph. It's a macro photograph of a bubble that I managed to kind of get over that planet.
oh wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's yeah, that's really cool. So is that
yeah.
the same on the other planets as well then?
I'm using different mediums on different planets as well. The one above that is the pink and reddish one. That's also kind of a photograph of the planet. And if you
Yeah.
zoom in on that, you can see, I mean, at least a photograph of a bubble. And if you zoom in on that, um, you can see the kind of textures from the bubble.
Yeah, I mean,
Toolson, it's so funny to hear you say these things. You're going down the same path that every single one of us who has had a headroom art piece have done. We see it, we appreciate it. We're like, oh, this is cool. I like this. And then you kind of look at it a little longer, and then before you know it, you're zooming in on 4K high quality images, and you're like, oh my god, I didn't even notice this. And so he's done that with the holidays collection. He puts little Easter eggs in there, and so our favorite thing is to just zoom in, find out what cool things we can see, and it's just so funny to see you follow the same path. This is great.
well, it's definitely a good sign because nothing bad is being said about any of it. That's for sure.
Also, if you go down from where you were, sorry, just in that art sneak, I just wanted to show you one thing. You go down, you go past the gingerbread and then a sailor, then there's a couple more planets till you get to a planet where you've got a sailor gazing out at a planet.
Yes, that one.
And then go down one more,
Yeah.
and there's a reddish planet with a very
Yeah.
dark
Oh,
foreground.
I
Now,
love the texture on that planet. Like
that is
it's
an
just
Anubis
right.
painting. So
Oh.
that is one of the acrylic paintings that the community member has done.
Oh. Oh.
It's really pretty. I mean, it's really.
Yeah, I am feeling the need to just start sending him ABA right now. Just saying. like for real, that is it's amazing work.
And it's
Listen,
you said about will you come out with anything to do like for the desktop or some other mediums to display, and that's what I love about it is it does have this sort of amazing desktop type feel. We've even had some members take some of the planets that we had and put their main profile picture on Discord or on Twitter, and basically put that on the front side. So you've got an Arcus planet in the back, and then you've got their personal profile picture. Maybe they're the big fan of Space Buds or Clay, but they really like Headroom's art, and so these planets make it super easy to incorporate his art. With still staying a fan of maybe your favorite PFP, and so that was a lot of fun. We actually had a little contest in our Discord once we saw people doing this, and had and had people create their own new PFP incorporating Headroom's art. And so those are types of events and things that we got going on in the Discord that just makes it fun. Those are things that help build the community and make it a little more interesting.
Yeah, I'm just imagining some of the NFTs I have where a PFP would insertion would be really quite fun, or add a massive touch of personality to it. Um, so yeah, obviously, I'm thinking, oh, I've got like an Aidenort and stuff like that, or one of my Reginalds or Dinos. So yeah, like
Absolutely.
the possibilities are endless, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think that's something an avenue we want to explore with collaborations with other projects. I mean, just once word gets out more about Headroom's talent, you're gonna other projects are gonna want to kind of incorporate this great art into theirs. And so trying to collab with other projects to do things like that, at the very least will be fun, and at the most can start to build some really good relationships that can last a while.
No, definitely agreed. And yeah, there's nothing not to love about your project, to be honest. Like and again, kicking it all off with a free mint is just like the icing on the cake. Like
That's how.
it's the perfect opportunity for everyone to get involved. That that and take some ownership in the project.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely, absolutely.
Like yeah, so yeah, let's move on to some more fun conversations. Find out a little bit more about you guys as people. You've mentioned a few times that you are a musician and that you played a fairly large amount of gigs around South Africa. What instruments do you play?
Guitar was always my first love, and obviously from that stemmed out into playing bass guitar. I've played bass guitar professionally as well for some time. I play keyboard and currently learning to play the saxophone.
Yeah, that's quite a departure from from the guitar, that's for sure, and very different skills as well.
Yeah, very much. It actually came about because um, I'd been playing guitar in a professional and kind of corporate environment for quite some time, and I just started to kind of feel like I just needed to take up an instrument that was right back at beginner level, just to really kind of feel that the necessity for growth again. So
Hmm.
that was how the saxophone came about.
Yeah, obviously the finger dexterity from the guitar will help, but it's still a very different different experience for sure.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
And so for both of you, what were the first NFTs that you minted on Cardano?
That's a good question. Um, I think the first thing I ever minted. Wow, actually, you got me stumped. Can't think.
Oh, all right. Well, I'll take the lead on that. So the first project I ever minted was a small no-name project called Cardoons, a project
Okay.
by a couple Russians who did some cartoon style art. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea what picture to what JPEG to buy. I just had visions of grandeur. I'm going to get rich off these. I've seen people make a bunch of money. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know anything about community. I didn't know anything about art. So that's where I got. And then my second one ended up being the Gingerbread Squad. And luckily, I was able to get rugged by that project from them, because that's what brought me on my path here. So.
As rugs go, it wasn't a bad one to be involved in, to be fair.
Right? I guess that's very true.
Um, so uh, ooh, so yeah, what was your first NFT mint?
I, I would have to say, um, Actually, might be a bit embarrassed to say. I think that was. I'm trying to remember the name of it, but there were these little dogs. What was it called?
Dogs on chain.
The hippie dog.
Car doggos.
No, hippie dogs or something. It was these kind of little dog characters. And it wasn't actually me.
It was obviously an incredibly memorable project that you really took to your heart and invested part of your soul into. Then
it wasn't entire. I don't take full responsibility. My brother talked me into it at the time. Yeah, it was called Hippie Doggies or something. But anyway, from there, I did mint a bunch of derps when they were minting, which I'm very pleased about.
Nice.
Yeah, and obviously minted a bunch of Gingerbread Squad. And when the rug happened, some guy decided he was paper handing his collection and sold a rank number 7 for, I think it was 150 or 160 ADA, which I jumped at.
I mean that was worth more in dollars back then than it is now, to be fair. But...
Yes, fair enough. But yeah, grabbed the rank number 7, which is still sitting within my wallet. Very happy about that. So yeah, and then I have been collecting a whole span of NFTs since. Got a fairly decent collection of NFTs.
Nice.
ToolSin, we got to flip it out on you. What was your first mint? I'd be interested to know.
Right. So the origin of ToolSin we're talking about here. So for the last, I minted my first CNFT back in May last year, and it was a Cardano. So the story about me getting into that was that I've got a friend of mine. He actually owns a recording studio. I help him out quite a bit, just sitting down there listening to bands rehearse, so we can have a night off. And we'd laughed about NFTs in the past when were they literally like white pieces of or white blank canvas with pixel art on them and like clip art and stuff like that, and there'd be like a tree here and a ring there and a car there and something completely unconnected, and it was just all completely crazy. And we'd laugh about it and we'd say people are spending $100,000 on this. And like we always said that when somebody was going to do it right, then we'd get involved. So when the NFT started becoming cohesive and a lot more like they are these days, then we get involved. He had he was working on a separate business venture with Legion of Brad, and Legion of Brad decided to and his business partner PRZ CNCN, which I'm not going to try and pronounce, had decided to get into the NFT game and do the Cardano's mint. I was off work ill at the time because I had some back problems working at Amazon, like shock horror. And I got involved helping out with the early shilling. I saw the dinosaurs, immediately fell in love with them and said, right, I'm all in. This is me getting into NFTs now. And at that point, I started doing more research about the difference between Cardano and other blockchains, and was quite happy to find out that it was a proof of stake network, not a proof of work network. And everything fitted in with my own personal ethics, because while I had bought a very small amount of Ethereum, I really wasn't keen on the mining and the whole proof of work setup. I don't think it's sustainable long term, and obviously this is being borne out by the fact they're moving over. So yeah, I got into helping out with the initial shilling in the minting of Cardanos, and I've never really looked back since. Ended up becoming a community manager for Cardano's, and then obviously Tools was born out of Cardano's as well. So it's been quite the journey for me.
It's awesome. Isn't it funny how it just pulls you in? The space just pulls you in. You can't help it.
I know. I mean, I consider myself one of the luckiest people because I'm one of the few people that that's I'm employed directly in the space. I don't have any type of programming knowledge or graphics knowledge or anything like that. I'm just a guy sitting behind his computer. I have had experience in helping run online communities previously, but obviously NFTs is a whole new board game. Especially when I hate Twitter. I have to say I absolutely loathe Twitter. It has some good uses. Don't get me wrong, and there are some benefits to humanity for its existence, but I do believe it's a net negative, like a strong net negative. Um, so
Agreed.
obviously, starting out taking over the Cardano Twitter at like 1,000 followers, and then being able to grow that to sort of like over 10,000, and everything that's come from that with tools and everything like that. It blows my mind that I've been able to play a small part in that. To be honest.
Oh yeah. Well, that's it's a shame that Twitter is the main medium of communication for NFTs or CNFT, but hopefully we continue to grow. And your story about being pulled in, and we hope to do that at Arcus Ferrago for some people. Get people interested in art and then get them interested in the space. And if we can have the same impact on some people that it had on you with your early working with NFTs, we'll be happy. We'll be proud.
Yeah, I mean it's such an amazing collaborative space, and it's the kind of space that, yes, okay, obviously, I'm paid to be here as much as I am, but even without that, I'd still be in the space constantly. Aside from any benefits that you might derive financially from flipping NFTs or anything like that, I've certainly found that the biggest benefits are certainly in the networking, and the meeting people that you wouldn't otherwise be able to meet, that will free strangers that will freely help each other, and solve problems, or come up with different solutions and different creativity and ideas. It's just absolutely amazing.
Hell yeah, right on.
It is
Uh,
amazing, and it's an incredible time for us. In just being in a space where there is all this creativity, and it's amazing.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, like, the way you guys met, you guys met out of a project that rug pulled. I
Yeah,
mean, and all of a sudden, from the ashes of that project, you've got, the whole minting partner system set up, promotional, full scale turnkey solution, along with projects launching out from that over the next few weeks. I mean, you know, it's it's like a massive, amazing Hydra in some respects. It's like okay, that head was cut off, but there's four more that's popped up in its place.
yeah, and a massive. I mean, massive shout out to like Phenom and Dyer and Josh, and I mean, there's like Josh said, there's 30 plus guys in the group in the community there, and this is people that have been working at this for a year and haven't pulled anything in terms of funds out of the project. This is all just commitment and heart and soul going into a project, and like you say, effectively what starts to happen is this networking that starts to go on, and meeting and cross pollinating, and I think we were so early in it that the benefits and the reaping what's going to come is going to be even beyond what we can imagine.
I mean, just had another thought pop into my head, which is kind of related to what one of your community members did with the Red Planet we were talking about. But have you seen all the adverts for Displayed?
No.
Okay, so from what I remember, basically they do metal plates, but you of artwork, and they sort of like they have like a magnetic hookup to for people's walls, so they're quite interchangeable and stuff like that. But so some of the I think it would be an amazing an amazing sort of canvas for you guys to be able to reach out in a different direction with the project as well, because these are exactly the type of images that would do very well on that, I think.
That's fantastic. Amazing that you say that, because this was always one of the early utilities that I wanted to be able to bring across with the project. And the idea was either printing onto metal or printing onto glass, and have real life. Obviously, you'd need to meet some sort of criteria in order to qualify for getting a real life drop of an art piece. But this is the idea, is, we kind of go along. We've got the Genesis, we've got the planets, we've got the Sailor, and if you're a holder and you've got the whole collection, hey, you know what? Maybe once a month we give away a free in real life print on a piece of glass or on a piece of metal. So the guys that you're talking about, would you be able to print something? Or what would you say?
I mean they're a big deal. They're quite a big company now. It's display displate.com.
Lovely. Look into that.
Just putting that on up on the YouTube video now, but they have a very large breadth of styles and artwork and stuff like that, both from well-known artists and a lot lesser known artists as well.
Lovely.
And just as a general thought, I would say metal is probably a lot easier to ship than glasses. Just before you start considering shipping around the world and everything like that, because so I suspect that metal will be the better one to ship the real life versions anyway.
Yeah. And I think these will look lovely on metal. I think it would really work well.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And I mean, who knows? I mean, if you're able to do it yourself, you might even be able to, with metal, you might even be able to add some extra texture as well.
Absolutely.
Which, I mean, they would be real one-of-ones if you're able to maybe burr up and that rough sound some of the different parts of a planet, for instance.
Yes.
Was there anything that we needed to touch on for the project that we've somehow managed to avoid?
I don't think we've. This has been a great space. I mean, this has been awesome. Thank you so much. I think we've touched on all the most important parts, and without getting too deep into things and going down the rabbit hole, which can kind of get a little daunting for someone who's never heard of the project. But I think we've hit the most important things. So just a reminder, the free mint is this Sunday. And you can go to our Discord and you can get a whitelist. There's still some available. If you're unable to get that, there will be some available, or there will be mints available for the public. We have our Genesis mint coming up in 1st or 2nd of October. Come by the Discord. Come say hi. Come check out the artwork. Come zoom in. Come zoom in on all the art and relax.
Yeah, I do apologise. There is going to be one whitelist spot less than there was a minute ago, because I'm currently in the process of making sure I get my spot. Just saying. Just saying.
Nice.
So yeah, no, this is one of the first sort of like free mint projects. Sort of like, or at least that's starting out the free mint like this. I really like the look of your art. I really like the look. And,
thank you.
I think you've got some very interesting directions to go, and I'm looking forward to seeing and being part of the community that might have a hand in helping steer that.
Exceptionally happy to have you, and honoured to have you. Thank you, ToolSin. That's great.
No, absolutely. So obviously, free mint on Sunday. Has all the details of the mint in October been released yet?
Most of the important ones. There is, if you do get the free mint, if you're one of the lucky 500 to get the free mint on Sunday, that will be your whitelist token for the Genesis mint. So if you get that, you're good. And the Genesis Mint is 100 ADA. There are ways to get discounts if you pop into the Discord. You can achieve some roles. It's a little tough, but you can get a little bit of a discount. But all the information is in our Discord. Come on in, say hi. My name is Galaris there. I'll be happy to help you out. Open a ticket, come make some friends. We're excited and happy to have everyone.
Absolutely, and if you're one of the people that's watching this back on YouTube, having not been able to catch it live, make sure you check out all the links below. There'll be links to the Twitter, the website, and the Discord. Make sure you join, say hello, and make some new friends. Check out all the artwork, and yeah. So on that note, I would like to extend an absolutely massive thank you guys for turning up and sharing with us about your project. I feel like I've actually learned quite a lot tonight. So yeah, it's been a very pleasurable experience. And obviously a massive thank you to everybody that's turned up to listen, because none of us would be here without you guys. And this is, this is why we do it, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Huge thanks to you, ToolSin. Thank you very much. And thank you for creating the space.
Yeah, I mean, for especially for projects like yours, it's most very definitely our pleasure.
Lovely.
Thank you.
So yeah, thank you for turning up, everyone, and we'll see you all over in the Arcus Ferrago Discord server soon.
Yeah. Bye.
Cheerio.
Cheerio. Thank you.